Field observations and consumer testimonies reveal a disturbing biological reality. The animals are onto something we've ignored. In suburban backyards, hungry deer and squirrels will approach piles of store-bought organic celery, nibble on a leaf of lettuce, and promptly drop it in favor of simple sunflower seeds. While produce from local farmer stands is consumed immediately, organic vegetables from the store Kroger often sit untouched for days. The investigative warning sign is both that the animals refuse it and that the food itself refuses to die. Investigative wellness analysts have documented store-bought celery remaining crisp in a refrigerator for a month, then sitting outdoors for days without molding or wilting. This unnatural shelf life suggests a system prioritizing logistical convenience over biological value. The grocery store presents an illusion of abundance, yet the organic items on its shelves are increasingly indistinguishable from industrial products, engineered to survive the supply chain rather than nourish a living being. The removal of seeds from grapes, watermelons, oranges, and cucumbers is marketed as a consumer luxury, but from a food systems perspective, it is a mechanism of total containment. When a fruit loses its seeds, it loses its ability to reproduce naturally. Modern seedless varieties are primarily cloned hybrids or laboratory-produced organisms designed for mass production. This shift effectively transitions food from a common resource into licensed, intellectual property. By engineering the ability to save seeds out of the crop itself, the industry forces the public into a subscription model for survival. Beyond the loss of autonomy, we are also losing the minerals and nutrients naturally concentrated in seeds, compounds that were once a standard part of the human diet.
We are slowly getting rid of all seeds in fruits and vegetables, and honestly, it's brilliant, because once every apple, grape, watermelon, and tomato is seedless, guess who controls life itself? There's no more planting your own food, no more saving seeds for next season. Everything you eat, everything that grows, will come from our labs. And when the last natural seed is gone, we can make them rare, expensive, maybe even licensed. Only billionaires will have gardens, and everyone else will have to subscribe to eat.
When the last natural seed is gone, the act of growing food moves from the backyard to the centralized lab. At that point, the right to eat becomes a tiered service where only the elite can afford the luxury of a garden, while the rest must subscribe to the corporate supply.
In Laguna, I went to the farmer's market, and I've gone there many times. But what was really weird there is they didn't have any seedless grapes. And it was because the mothers of Laguna were talking about how that their kids should not eat seeded grapes because their kids will choke and get stomach issues. So the moms have convinced the farmers that they should sell them seedless grapes instead and get rid of the seeded grapes, because the farmer could not even sell his seeded grapes, because the mom said, we need seedless grapes for my kids. Now what's interesting is, guess who created the seedless grape? The tiny hats. You know them? The tiny hats. They actually have the CRISPR technology, and also backed by Monsanto, who's also a tiny hat company. Because Monsanto is Bayer, right? You know that one, Red Shield. Rothschild, that's what it is. So people don't even realize that they're supporting the Rothschilds with their seedless agenda, but the moms are actually asking for seedless food. It only takes one generation to turn into Muppets. That's pretty much what it takes. One generation to go from we used to eat seeded and the seeds were beneficial and healing us to let's eat seedless. And then we can't grow them, and then Monsanto will control all the food supply.
The modern food supply is a controlled monopoly dominated by invisible giants. While consumers see variety on the shelves, the foundational ingredients are governed by a handful of entities. Pfizer. This pharmaceutical giant quietly controls 90% of the North American cheese market. They dominate the rennet industry, using a genetically modified version produced by inserting cow genes into modified fungus. While traditional rennet comes from calf stomachs, Pfizer's industrial version is linked to the explosion of dairy intolerance and inflammation seen in the US, but absent in countries like Italy that maintain traditional methods. Cargill. This private dynasty is the secret megacorporation of the food world. Last year, Cargill made more money than Coca-Cola, Nestle, and Chevron combined. They supply the foundational oils, salts, sugars, and meats for brands ranging from McDonald's and Kellogg's to Aldi and Kroger, yet they work tirelessly to keep their name off the labels. The Big Four. Meat production is a strategic choke point. Just 4 firms control 85% of beef, 66% of pork, and 51% of chicken. Global monopolies like JBS, Brazil, and Smithfield, owned by a Chinese firm, have effectively nationalized American protein production. This is the manifestation of food as a weapon, a concept refined during the Vietnam War. By creating local hunger and centralizing production, corporations and governments can manufacture dependency, using food access to dictate national and individual decision-making.
Most people get shocked when I tell them this, but did you know that Pfizer makes 90% of the cheese in the United States? Cheese is one of the most consumed foods in the world, especially in the US. So if you can control cheese, you control a massive part of the food supply. And Pfizer quietly sits in the middle of it. To make cheese, you need just 4 ingredients: milk, salt, cultures, and rennet. And guess who took over the rennet industry? Pfizer. About 90% of all cheese in North America uses a genetically modified version of rennet produced by Pfizer. Real rennet comes from calf stomachs. Pfizer's version is made by inserting cow genes into genetically modified fungus. And then we wonder why half of America can't tolerate dairy digestive issues, inflammation, hormone problems. Meanwhile, countries that use traditional rennet, like Italy, don't have these problems. So I scanned the Kraft Singles with the Reveal It app. It flagged ingredients like rennet made by Pfizer, which is harmful to our digestive system.
The physical degradation of our food is now visible to the naked eye. Consumers are increasingly documenting rubbery watermelons, avocados, and bananas that bend excessively without breaking, a texture entirely inconsistent with natural cellular structures. This industrialization is the result of centuries of selective breeding prioritized by political and aesthetic agendas rather than nutrition. Carrots, for instance, were cultivated to be orange specifically to honor the House of Orange, a Dutch royal dynasty. Most variety in the vegetable aisle is also an illusion. Kale, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts are all different parts of the exact same plant. When food no longer rots and exhibits the texture of synthetic rubber, it is a primary warning that the product has been optimized for the global supply chain at the expense of human biology.
You ever think about how in America it costs more not to be poisoned? Like if you want food without artificial dyes, preservatives, or chemicals banned in other countries, you have to pay a premium. We wonder why we're tired, inflamed, and anxious from the system that sells us fake food and then sells us the cure for the side effects, but never the root cause. Big food fills our shelves with toxic ingredients, and then Big Pharma steps in to sell us the remedy. It's crazy to me that real food has become a luxury when it used to be the default. But the truth they don't want you to know is you don't have to be rich or perfect to start growing some of your own food or shopping local where you can. Today, one of your best connections is your local organic farmers, shaking hands with the people who grow the food you nourish your body with. Even if your budget is tight, every step matters. Every swap is important. Food is medicine, and your body is worth the investment.
Strategic acquisition of the Earth's most vital resource is currently underway. Bill Gates is now the largest private farmland owner in the United States, a move synchronized with the push for artificial meat and RNA-resistant crops.
So the idea is we get rid of farmers, we kill any naturally grown food, and we engineer food in manufacturing plants and laboratories. But I assure you that those guys are not eating this.
Bill Gates is one of the familiar corporate faces, and he's investing heavily in the food revolution under the guise of avoiding climate disaster.
Cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. So we need to change cows.
And while he talks up the perceived problem, Gates is pouring money into the supposed solution: artificial meat and genetically modified crops. Crucially, anything that is invented or altered can be patented.
The core of his agenda is he wants to do in agriculture and pharmaceuticals, by the way, what he did in the computer world. True power, massive, incalculable wealth It comes from owning intellectual property and then monopolizing it. They want to make it so that every single organism that is used for food is ultimately under their control, either through the 3D printing or through this genetic manipulation. So we're moving now very rapidly toward this totally centralized food system where a tiny handful of corporate interests in bed with totalitarian government will dominate the food supply so that there is only a giant public-private partnership with total control of all food, all energy, and I believe water will be next.
While the global machinations continue, thousands of farmers fear for their livelihoods. And the new UK government's first budget has multiplied those fears. By reducing relief on inheritance tax, they're penalising those who would want to pass their farms to sons or daughters. The National Farmers Union described it as
a disastrous budget
for family farms that would
snatch away the next generation's ability to carry on producing British food and see farmers forced to sell land to pay the tax.
Unlike traditional GMOs, this new technology allows for seeds to be engineered with search and destroy capabilities. These crops can be designed to target specific genetic compositions, theoretically allowing a food source to interact with, or attack, the immune system of races. This shift treats farming as intellectual property that can be patented and monopolized. Under the Great Reset, the goal is a centralized food system where access is linked to digital IDs and social credit scores, predicated on blockchain-verified compliance. The very soil our food grows in is being compromised by industrial byproducts. For decades, the EPA has encouraged the use of biosolids, treated sewage sludge, as fertilizer. This practice has led to the widespread contamination of millions of acres with PFAS, forever chemicals. Internal documents from chemical giants like DuPont and 3M reveal they knew of the dangers of PFOA, perfluorooctanoic acid, as early as 1998. PFOA was the essential chemical used to create Teflon, the non-stick coating found in millions of kitchens. Today, those same forever chemicals are found in the soil, the water, and the livestock of farmers who were told by the government that biosolids were safe. This creates a lucrative closed-loop system. Big Food sells toxic or nutrient-deficient ingredients, and Big Pharma sells the remedies for the resulting chronic inflammation and disease. Reclaiming food autonomy is the ultimate form of nonviolent resistance. To escape the gilded cage, we must move from a mindset of manufactured scarcity to one of localized abundance. Bypass the choke point. Use decentralized farm maps to locate over 30,000 independent ranchers and growers. Buying grass-fed beef, raw honey, and eggs directly from the source bypasses the 4 corporations that control 69% of the grocery market. Fight price fixing.
So I just left the farmer's market here in Bloomington, Indiana, where I live, and I'm going to tell you right now, I just found out that the city of Bloomington, if they find out that these farmers at the farmer's market are selling their products for less than BlackRock stores like Kroger and Walmart, they get fined. The city of Bloomington literally tells them this is how much minimum you have to charge for your product, so that Walmart and Kroger, which are BlackRock companies, gets to sell their shit, their poison shit, for cheaper. I seen a pint of strawberries, which I literally counted them, 10 strawberries for $7. Who's gonna buy that? Nobody. I wanted to get some collard greens because I wanted to make greens today. 8 leaves for $7. That's basically $1 a leaf for collard greens. And they know, the city of Bloomington knows, because they have contracts to do this with BlackRock companies like Walmart and Kroger.
Plant the future.
You don't have to be a farmer to grow food. You don't have to have any prior knowledge on growing before you start growing your own food. The only thing you need to understand is the reason why. And for me, the main reason that I started growing food was for getting access to good quality, fresh fruits and vegetables. Once I went down the rabbit hole of looking how the current food system was set up, what the current food supply looks like, I realised that there was only really one option, and that was to start growing my own food and take control of that aspect of my life. Once you get into that frame of thinking and understand the reason why, all the growing just falls into place. You'll plant your first fruit tree, and then fast forward 5 years, you'll have yourself full-on food-growing project.
In a small orchard in upstate New York grows a tree that should not exist. One trunk, 40 different fruits, peaches, plums, apricots, nectarines, cherries, all ripening on the same branches throughout the summer. This is not genetic modification. It is an ancient grafting technique that was systematically erased from American agriculture.
And was amazed. They tasted like apple with honey, sweet, juicy, and crunchy. At that moment, I understood why this plant should be in many more gardens. It is called yacon, and it is probably the easiest plant I have ever grown in my life. The curious thing is that yacon is one of those plants that almost nobody knows outside the Andes.
The scarcity we feel today is not a natural limit of the earth. It is a manufactured result of centralized control. We are being steered toward a reality where owning one's health is no longer a given, but a choice that requires active defiance. Food abundance is an inalienable human right, yet it is being treated as a commodity for speculation. As the system moves toward patented seeds and genetically targeted crops, the most vital question remains: who truly owns the food on your plate, and what will you choose to plant next?